The Global Aquaculture Alliance is essentially two enterprises, one of which is about advocacy for aquaculture done responsibly and sustainably, and we show evidence of that in our second enterprise by the development of best aquaculture practice standards. But at our bottom line, at our root level, we're about advocacy, about aquaculture and the growth of aquaculture.
The mission of GAA is to feed the world through responsible aquaculture, and certification is just really one of the tools. And we see the future of aquaculture being very bright if it's done in a sustainable way. And so we're all about trying to solve the problems to help aquaculture become more sustainable.
All major retailers and increasingly consumers want to know more about the food that they're eating. They want to know where it came from. They want to know it's sustainable. They want to know that child labor wasn't using it. They want to know that it's safe. They want to know it's good quality. And so increasingly it's you could say the price of entry. And the distinguishing factor is it's becoming more and more that buyers may not buy from you if you don't have third-party certification to a credible standard. Everyone says they have quality, everyone says they have food safety, but it's the third-party verification that matters.
Presently, about 15% of aquaculture production around the world rises to a level where it is certified. That leaves 85% of the production and the facilities performing that production uncertified. The Responsible Aquaculture Foundation has been created to provide knowledge and education to those 85%, the largest percentage of the aquaculture production that currently is not operating in a way that allows them to be sustainable.
Having worked as a retailer and now on the other side of the fence, I have a unique perspective. Because going into a meeting, I understand that this isn't necessarily the favorite topic that they have, that there is a day job somewhere behind them, and this has to get worked into it. I also understand that I'm a resource to make their job easier. And I'm not trying to sell them anything, I'm trying to support them with something. With a BAP program, you have the Global Food Safety Initiative. Most retailers do have a food safety program that they require. In addition to that, we point out the environmental platform that we have that's quite robust. Most retailers are looking for that. And then we point out the social welfare compliance issues.
What sets us apart is our comprehensive certification program. And really the whole process begins with the processing plant. When you get the processing plant on board, then the processing plant becomes an ally of the program, and through them we can work to get the farms. And it's so much easier to enlist the support of a farm in a local country that may have a different language if you have a local processor working with you. And then the next step is to get the hatcheries involved, and then finally the feed mills, and that leads to our 4-step process.
You can reduce audit duplication by going with the BAP standard because you don't have to get a separate type of audit with a different program for the plant and a separate one for the farm because we cover all of it. You also, if it's acceptable to their marketplace, don't have to have a separate social accountability audit because we cover that part. You don't have to have a separate environmental audit because we cover that part, again, assuming that that's acceptable to the buyer.
We go from anywhere the chains that have 29, 30 stores, all the way through multinationals like Walmart, Tesco. So we run the gambit not only on the size of the retailers, the complexity of the retailers, the market positions of the retailers, and just purely the number of stores.
The Global Aquaculture Alliance really is about educating men and women to perform in a more sustainable way in their enterprises. And the excitement for us is that we're part of an industry that must grow 6 to 7% per year. And it's fun to be part of that growth as an advocate for aquaculture.